Hello lovely people, it's Loretta with Sparrowhawker Designs. Welcome back to my channel. I had several requests for me to show how to make these fans, and I apologize, but okay, my husband is working from home now because of the pandemic, and so he sort of has my space that I can, like, the only place that I can put the sewing machine, the little tiny ironing board, and my camera is the kitchen table, and he has it. And it's got two computers on it and a keyboard, and I can't get in there to actually try to film an actual sewing tutorial. So I will try to do my best. At least showing you how this is done. Now, I've put off making this video because you kind of need a special tool for it, and if you don't have this tool, then, you know, it's kind of pointless. But, hang on, let me see if I can move my camera a little. Trying to get it to come down. There we go. I think that might help. Okay, so this is your ruler thing that makes the blades for this fan. This is from Susan Quilts. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah. And this is the original pattern. Or let me get that out of the plastic. The lights are just not working. So it came in this little package. Like, this came with the booklet in this little package, and it was $8 for this blade at my local quilt store. So I don't know if you can maybe find this online. And then I also bought the other one. There was a little bit bigger one that makes bigger blades. And then of course you can find all kinds of like patterns for the really big fan blades. But for these little miniature ones that I make in the slow stitch kits and that I use in my crazy quilts and stuff, this is the little tiny one. This is the little tiny one that I use. Okay, and so this is a fan. However, so it takes 6 blades to make these fans. But you can actually do them with just 5 if you wanted to have like a middle point there. If you make 12, however, you get these what they call Dresden plates, which is just absolutely one of my favorite quilt patterns that there is the Dresden plate. So as you can see, this I'm making an entire quilt with these things. Oh yes, it's one of my unfinished projects. And you can also see how much I love like blue and tan. I love blue and tan. Just love that color combination. So anyway, yeah, if you cut out 12 of them, you can make a whole plate. And just really quickly, let me see if I can find, I don't know, just some scrap of fabric laying around. Not like I would have anything like that, right? Just a scrap of fabric somewhere. Let's see. Let's use this. Okay. Alright, well ordinarily this would be ironed flat. And so what you do is you take your rotary cutter and your mat, which I need to remove this, otherwise I will cut that right up. Okay, so just very quickly, you just take your rotary cutter and you cut along that. Oops, and you cut it out. Ordinarily I would use my spinning mat, but it has a bunch of other stuff on it. And you do have to be careful because I have sort of chipped the edges of this from like getting too close to it. But anyway. Okay, and so then you will have something that looks like that. When you have 6 of these, you sew them together. So how I do like strip sewing, where I don't sew one and take it out. I just sew a bunch of them together. So what you want to do is you want to sew this. You want to fold it right sides together, so that the back side of your fabric is on the outside like this. And on your sewing machine, you sew 1/4 inch seam allowance. And so I have here a strip of them that I have sewn together like that. And so what I do is I kind of trim this off because there's a lot of bulk there. And then you turn them inside out. And you'll get your little point like that. And so you use like a, I don't know what this is, a stipple, and you kind of go in and poke out that corner to make sure you get it nice and sharp. And then you iron it down. You iron it. And then you get the next one. And you cut the next one as well. Turn it. Get that point to come out. Iron it. Then you turn them right sides together and you sew 1/4 inch seam allowance down this way. Then you will open them up. Of course, they'll be sewn together. And so I do them in twos. Oops, since there's 6. I'll sew 2 together, and I sew 2 together, and I sew the last 2 together, and I iron them, and then I sew 2 and 2, and then I sew the final 2 on. So you'll get 2, 2, and 2. You can see the back there, how that is sewn together. And that is how you get your fan. And the goal is to try to get these lines to match up, but they do not always. And it depends on how you're using it. I mean, if you're using it, like I can kind of pull it, manipulate it, and it will. So if you're using it to make an entire Dresden, you really kind of need to keep that even. If you're just using this, like I use it, as a, you know, as a little focal point in a quilt, like I'm just grabbing a circle here. You know, you can always put something there, not this big obviously, but put something there, and you just, it kind of covers it up. You can also just trim, like this one seems to be hanging out a little bit on the edge there, so you can also just kind of trim that off if you really want it to be perfectly. But I have noticed with the crazy quilts and slow stitching and stuff like that, that even if it's not completely perfect, by the time you've put stuff on there and you've stitched it, nobody notices. So, but yes, if you're making an entire quilt, you will, like if you're making an entire Dresden, like these, you definitely want them to be a little more perfect. So, that is really all there is to it. If you hang on one second. So obviously, you can find the templates. So this is done with the little tiny template, and then there's a medium template, and I made these huge ones with a big template, and I'm going to do the same thing with these, only this will be an actual, I don't know if any of you have ever seen a Victorian fan quilt or not, but you should Google that and go look. Anyway, so that is really all there is to it. It's, you know, I mean, it's time consuming because you literally have to turn all these little blades inside out, and cut off all this little excess here. And so it definitely is time consuming, but it's not super hard. Just remember that when you fold the fabric to sew your seam, that you're putting your right sides of the fabric together like that. And that is all there is to it. So I hope that if you can find the templates for sale someplace, I imagine you can probably get them online. I really don't know. I just happened to walk in to my quilt store and saw it there, and I just fell in love with the little tiny Dresdens. Dresdens is one of my favorite pattern, quilt pattern anyway, you know, and always has been. There's another video I have up where I took old antique Dresdens and put them in like a crazy quilt setting, and I just embellished the heck out of them. I have it's on my channel under the, I'll leave a link to it. Anyway, so I love Dresdens. Now this is going to get you the pointy Dresden. You can do, I know you've probably seen the fans and the Dresdens that don't have the pointy plates. They probably have the rounded ones. I've never actually made those, so I'm not really sure. I guess they probably have to fold that under and applique that down, I'm assuming, either with fusible or just needle turn, I guess. So anyway, alright guys, that is how you do that. Like I said, I've hesitated doing this because I know you do need this special tool, and not everybody has that, and not everybody has a rotary cutter either, so you know, and also like I said, I can't get to my kitchen table. So the joys of the pandemic. Anyway, all right, that's all. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye bye.